Well, hello there, Applebiteys. This is your Applebite Rafael Tavares talking to you straight from FanFair 2020. And we are here with
Adrian Garcia, creator of Dungeonborn.
Sherrod Ford, partner in this project.
So I've been trying to get in touch with these guys for like years now because, we wanted to get together and do an interview to explain what they've been creating because it's just an amazing endeavor. I like what you guys have been doing. I've been following you the whole time, and I can see that all this is organically flowing from story points, right? So let them know, what is Dungeonborn?
Dungeonborn, it's a passion that we have had as gamers. We've been playing the world's greatest game for at least over 30 years. And with the release of their new system, I think it's 5th edition, we had decided to go another way. The thought process was, what if Wizards of the Coast came to us and said, what would be the next edition? How would you create the next edition? And that's where Dungeonborn really comes up out of. And the experience of what we were seeing, or what I was seeing in 5th edition, didn't lend itself to anything new. I was coming from a 4th edition background. I liked the 4th edition they had. I didn't see many problems, but there was a major backlash in it. So when 5th edition came out, I looked at it. It was cool, don't get me wrong, but I had played it in the prior version. It was a 3.5. If you've played games, you know what 3.5 is, 3.0 of the world's greatest game was, and it just harkened backwards. It didn't go forward. Our whole idea was to keep some of the mechanical aspects of 4th edition, as well as add in the imaginativeness of 2nd edition, and still have a great flavor of 3rd edition within it in sense of choices. I think 3rd edition was a great sense of choice, and 4th edition was a great sense of choice.
I mean, I also think that when we're thinking about the game, we're thinking about kind of transcending like the concept that a lot of people who play D&D, that's kind of like the same people, like the same old boys club type situation. What we want to do is put a game out there that can appeal to everybody. So have young people who are coming into the game, maybe the rules are not as convoluted and you can get into the game right away. And do the one thing that attracts everybody, which is good storytelling. Good storytelling attracts everybody, so we create our own settings. So you're not going to see the settings that come from D&D or other places. You're going to see our settings and our worlds and our history and lores and things of that nature, and fall in love with those, and hopefully you'll see our characters the same way you see some of those characters, and get hooked on the game. That's what we're hoping for.
I have to admit, I was in here, I was watching you guys groove with your kids, adults. There was a bunch of the variety of people in here, and they were really enjoying themselves. They were having a ton of fun. They jumped into the whole thing. It really, I can see that they were grasped by your storytelling style, and I can tell that they really were diving into it. Well, what was your experience with that whole thing?
Well, my experience was, I was shocked at first, because again, this was the shock of, I'm used to seeing people who are my age, maybe 30s at best, come in here and play the game and enjoy themselves. To see my first 2 kids, they came in and they're 13 and 13. And I'm like, well, have you experienced the game before? Oh yeah, I've been playing for years now. I DM. You're 13, right? Yeah. So to see that, and they jumped right in. They were just like, I know this. Okay, that's my investigation role. I got this. And I was just like, oh my goodness. 13. I was sitting there in my chest. I was like, oh my. I was like, this is wonderful. And they jumped right in. And so what happened with that is it made it easier, because then when 2 kids came in who had never touched the game before, again, there's that camaraderie. They guided them. And then they got into it. And then 2 more kids came in. And they're like, we played a little bit. So you had like the children who never played before, the children who played intermediately, so they kind of understood a little bit, and the kids who jumped right in, and it created a wonderful group. And then a couple of kids died. They were devastated, but I gave them a high five, and they walked off, and they're good. They walk into the sunset happy. And then new kids came in, and it kept that flavor and that flow. So to be able to do that with our story and our system was amazing.
have to admit, it was interesting to see. I love the fact that you guys were telling me that you guys were gonna have this set up that way. Like as soon as their characters die, they're out of the game. The people continued to do it. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. From your experience, from your group,
My group was a little different. I had a little bit older kids, but they jumped right in it. I had a different scenario that came up. In my head, it's always easier to craft it, and then reality sets in. You're like, oh, what do I do now? So I had to it's storytelling. I had to pull back a little bit and actually get them involved into the story. But to have them there, these 16, 14-year-old kids involved in this is amazing. Like my partner said, only because it's 3 hours long.
Yes.
They did not leave. One of them left only because she was like, I think this is where it's good to end it here. That's all. She was like, I'm good. I put daggers in him. I'm good. And I was like, yes. You know, and I was like, thank you. I appreciate it. You're on your way. I'm all right. That changed that. Of course, that's part of the game. That's part of you being a DM or being as I call us, dungeon smiths. That takes us a part of the game where it's like, okay, that's okay, it's fine. But it was a good thing. It shocked me that these kids were paying attention for 3 hours. No cell phone, none of the electronics. They just sat there and, you know, we had this one Asian girl that came into the thing. She didn't play. Maybe she played 1, 2, or 3 sessions of Dungeons and Dragons. After the game, she was like, I'll be back later in the afternoon. Another kid who played came to play Dungeons and Dragons. I told him this is what we had and everything. And he was like, wow, this is great. I'm definitely bringing my character back. And that's what we want. That's what we want to see. And that's what we want people who are going to buy the game have the same reaction when they take it.
And to see that, like the kid, and that was flattering that the girl, like she knew it was over. She died. You know what I'm saying? She knew it was done. And she was like, but I'm keeping this character sheet. And she walked out, and that was adorable. And then I had another young man who said the same thing. He was like, I will be back tomorrow. I was like, sure, and I'm going to let you keep that character sheet to play, even if new players come in. He was like, yep. And he walked right out, and I was just like, wow. Like, it's touching because this is what the hard work is going in. To see that we can get to this place, and then now if we can get here, then it's time to take it somewhere else.
Right.
Completely agree with you guys. The whole, you know, that's what you want as a DM. You want people to go, oh my God, you know, I want to keep playing this. When's the next game? Can I come back? I know my character's there. Can I re-roll a new character? You want people to do that. This is a very good start for both of you.
I agree. I mean, it's one of those things where it's not, I would never expected it to, it's weird in the creation, because I'm with the creative part of it as well. So it's the design, everything. I always worry if it's good enough or it's going to be good enough. But it's when you sit down at the table and you got people that you don't know or people you know and you've been playing, and they rock it. It doesn't take them long to understand the rules. They get it, and they're doing things that you're not prepared for as a DM, and you're like, you get it. This is why we're here to play a good game, and it's just fun. I think that's what we're looking to have again, and I think that's the popularity of just gaming all around right now. And you got to give the other games, the world's greatest game, one of the things with their new system is trying to bring the fun back. But there's room for everybody to find niches and saying, hey, it's like rap. you have your Jay-Z's, you have your Wu-Tang Clans. Like I said before at the end, we're kind of like that Wu-Tang Clan where we're getting together and we're trying to bring, you know, something completely different. And I followed when I was designing Dungeonborn, and when I came to him and I came to a couple of my friends, that's the template that I wanted to imitate, because it's a great concept. 9 people, and that's what Dungeonborn and that's what role playing is. It's 5, 8 people, 9 people coming together and to tell a great story, and that's really our core philosophy. If we had the core philosophy, you gave us D&D gave us a game and said, you bring your people together and you put something out. And that's what we're doing. Gary Gygax did it. He took it from miniatures. So why not us?
I love that stuff, you know, especially as a writer. One of the greatest things that playing the game itself, made me was be able to create my worlds, see how they work, see what's going on, see how everything works in this place, see if this works, if it doesn't work. It's a good way as a writer to actually see your world and see what works, what doesn't work, which character is best, what character, because sometimes you know how it is. You set up the whole thing and you think, oh my God, this is the greatest character I've ever created. And they go, who's that guy over there at the bar? I'm like, I don't know who the hell that guy is.
It keeps you on your steps. When you get to stuff like that, and this goes to what we were doing, we were doing the DM questions, how to be a better DM and player, whatnot. It just becomes one of the things where it's humbling for a DM when you've created this badass thing and the players go, oh, no, we're gonna go there. So it forces you as a game master, Dungeon Smith, you're gonna have to work on your toes to bring them back in or to actually create something new for them. And it's part of the game, and that's part of Dungeonborn. It's part of any game. Monopoly has it, but that's the fun of the game. Excuse me.
It also allows, like, you get a moment to stop and think. Every time that moment happens, I'm always like, sit back, and I'll tell my players, all right, you're at a campfire. What are you guys doing right now? Right? And they start talking. And then in your head, while they start talking, that gives you time to say, all right, so they're really vested in this thing right here. I tried to point them this way, but they're kind of vested in this. All right, I'm going down this avenue right here. And then you wind up creating something that's as good or even better than what you planned because they're vested. So get your players vested in your story or in the scenarios or in those situations. Yes. And then everything kind of builds on itself. And then I look back and I'm like, wow, I just created a great character. Now I'm gonna work on this because the vestment came from the players. Somehow I created this character named this guy from here, and now I can flesh this out because this could be important, or this could be something that when I release the game now, here's this amazing situation.
I have an NPC like that. His name is Jameson Kirkson. Now, right there, you already know what you're getting. As soon as he appears, what do we hear? Oh man, not that character again. Shh, why he's here, you know? And then I sit back and I laugh inwardly because it's like, this character, even though they hate him, they respond to him. And I go through the whole Kirk imitation. Because why? Why do you do this to me? Welcome to my... And I go through the whole thing. Why? Because the players deserve it. You're taking a little time to do the improv for them. And they get it. And they, even though they hate it, but they get it. And they're like, you know what? We'll travel with you. We know we hate you, but it's those little things. And that's the fun of the game.
And it's funny in the same regard. And I used him today because I was like, well, who would I use to guide these guys through?
Did you really? Did you do that for me? Thank you.
Right. No, I definitely didn't use Kirkson. No. So I used NPCs that drive him crazy. So I had this owl in the game, and these guys are playing, and this owl, all he did was drive them through mischievous things. They literally, if bad was left, he wanted them to go left, right? So when the kids played today, and I introduced the owl, by the end of the game, all the kids say, all right, we're gonna do what you say, but we don't trust you, right? And the fact that it's just like, it's fun, like now this character who, really honestly, I pulled him out of nowhere when I first thought of him, but the way he kind of interacted with the group and the way it helped guide the storyline, now he's a fixture. And the fact that you can create something like that, and then now it's a fixture that people will enjoy when you bring it up, that's awesome.
Yeah, and one thing I'll say about Dungeonborn. Dungeonborn, like anything, is another forum or another platform in which you can create. One of the things we're going to try to do with Dungeonborn is not make it so damn expensive.
Yes.
One of the problems I find with the modern role-playing game is everything is like $50 and higher. How do you get kids that can't pay for it, or it's one of those things where you have to find the balance, and I would like to make it between $20 and $30. It's just finding the right paper and stuff like that. But if one of the things that got us into Dungeons & Dragons is because it was a cheap alternative.
Yes.
You could pay $20 and be like, okay, we got this book, let's get it together. You got the pizzas, I got the Pepsi, let's roll. We'll do 20 hours and then go home, sleep, and do 20 hours more. That's what we did in the summer. We did hours. I would go in at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, leave at 3 o'clock in the morning, because we ran, we played, and it was cheap. It was safe.
Yeah.
It's safe.
And the thing, you're with your boys in the crib, just having a good time and stuff like that. When where we grew up, you could have been outside dealing with the knuckleheads.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This was fun. And
It's
again,
wholesome.
Yeah.
It really is wholesome. You wouldn't believe it. It's one of those things where like I said, we live in the Lower East Side. So when we were coming up, it's not like it is now where it's a little bit more gentrified. Yeah. It was hood. It's projects. So you either found yourself playing basketball or in the courts, or you were on the street hustling. To not have that, who would have thought minority kids from the street are playing Dungeons and Dragons? Yep. And a neighborhood of kids. It's not just me. You have like a whole head of 8 heads playing. Then you have our group, 5 people there.
And the funny thing is that's how we came together, because literally he's playing with one group, I'm playing with another group, who just so happened to have members in the middle who knew each other.
Right.
And that was just like, oh, you play too? What? Get out of here. You play too? And then that's just how it's developed and it started. So,
go ahead.
I was going to say, I have to admit, the game that you're creating sounds like something everybody should be a part of. One of the things that I've always thought about the game itself is the fact that this thing is so multi-purpose. So it helps in so many areas, because I know people like to knock the game, constantly knock it. It's demonic, it's this, it's that. They like to knock it, but I find that it helps you in social aspects. It helps you deal with problems you might be having, because you can put it into the character and maybe work them out in the character. As a writer, it helps you be creative. As an artist, it helps you be creative. It's so much, and I really hate when people try to pigeonhole this thing and turn it into whatever it is they want to make evil into.
I think that's just what it was in the 80s. I think when you have a denomination that is basically, I don't know how to put it, you could edit this out. So the stigma, and people still kind of remember that and try to put it in. But then when you look at Hollywood, you have Vin Diesel rolling dice and saying, yo, I played this character. This is Vin Diesel. You have, there's another guy who's big. I just can't remember him right now. But he has his game. He's married to one of the most beautiful Spanish women in the world. And he's playing. But you know what? Secretly, all these Hollywood producers and actors and stuff, they played Dungeons and Dragons. They made it into Hollywood. They probably still play it, but they don't say it. So what I'm saying, what I'm trying to say is, even though you have a stigma, people are still gonna play it. People are still gonna do it. And the communication part is, when you don't understand something, you're gonna dog it. When you don't understand, it gives you a brilliant concept of communication. It teaches you mathematics. It teaches you history, if you want to add historical backgrounds. It teaches you a plethora of so much knowledge that you can use, and it helps you retain that knowledge. So when they crap on it, it's one of those things where you go like this. You go like, you can't see me. You hit full, you can't see me, and you have a nice day, and I'm still gonna play my game.
Still gonna do your thing.
You're still gonna do it.
And so, I mean, it's that thing where you find yourself being comfortable in your own skin as well, because you sit there and you play this game, and tomorrow I didn't wake up and start worshiping demons and Beelzebubs and things like that. No, I didn't wake up tomorrow and go crazy. I had a great time with my friends, and I got to use my imagination. I got to be creative. I got to do all of those things that we wish kids were doing today, because that's how you problem solve.
Right.
That's how you multitask, by just stepping into those realms. You wish that they did those things, but when the phone is right here and all you gotta do is this,
they've stripped it away from
you
us.
don't, so in that, like I said, don't worry about the naysayers. And again, if it's something just play.
Do your thing, man. Do your thing.
Be dungeon borners.
Yeah.
Go play.
Go
be heroic. We call them heroic icons. Yeah. Be a heroic icon. Go play.
So now that we've put that segue in there, if these people want to go play Dungeonborn and they want to know what's going on, and I know you said that stuff is coming up in the future, how can they find out?
They can go through Facebook. They can go through our Tales of Venlar. We also have a Dungeonborn and the Grand Realm, the original campaign world for it, on Facebook itself. We have a Facebook page. Go through Tales of Venlar. That's the best way, and you can segue through Facebook and whatnot.
And it just gives you a way to just, right now, at this moment, and then you see there's a card that we do have, and right at this moment, what you can do is just, No, it's all right. It allows you to contact us, just so that, you know, when we do put out the product, we can say, hey, listen, thank you for following us. Thank you for this. It's out right now. Go get it. We got you.
And there you have it. Make sure you take a bite out of Dungeon Born because you know you want to. Let's get creative.